Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the only show that's going to bring you live builds on toy boxes in the Disney Infinity 3.0 version we're going with right now. Just because the servers are gone doesn't mean the game is. Still plenty of life left in this thing. Alright, we're going to get into the build that I was working on a couple weeks ago that I actually started a couple months ago and then got sidetracked with other stuff. And it is the Guardians of the Galaxy. It'll probably be the kickoff for the box set that I'm going to put together. So let's load that up and get to finishing hopefully on it. I think that most of it, the hard part is done. Got to do a little experimenting on path creators. Let's see. Toy box saves. Yes. And I'm going to be interrupted here briefly when the pizza delivery man gets here, so you'll notice when nothing happens for a little while. Alright, we are looking for, let's see, what did I name it? Boss Battle Warzone? No. Guardians of the Galaxy, Mutiny, Revenge of the Sith. Mutiny was... Actually, it should be higher up because I did do some more recent work on it. Is it Showdown? I think it's Showdown. Yep, Showdown it is. Nicely timed with animals music fading out. I like that little intro now. I think I might tweak it a little bit more yet and just add a couple of small touches, but it was fun putting that together. Alright, so if you haven't seen any part of this build in the past...
I could hardly wait to get back to work either.
I really need to take that power disc off. This is going to kind of replicate the opening scene in Guardians 2, where this big creature comes swooping in and the Guardians are all fighting it off and all hell's breaking loose, and you got little mini Groot over there just kind of like running in between explosions and stuff, and Gamora's telling him, be careful, baby, and all that kind of stupid stuff. Anyway, this was what inspired this particular build and what we're working on now. So, with that in mind, most of this logic in here is all set to go, as I recall. There's a couple of things. Let me see. I think I finally now figured out what the issue was with the missiles, but I don't remember what it was. Let me get back out of here real quick just to check that out. So if we back out and hit play... Nothing's happening. Maybe I didn't fix it. Well, that sucks because it was working. And I thought I had figured out what the issue was. And I want to say it was putting it, the object, not to go like one and done. But apparently that's not happening now. Then again, maybe I didn't save it. Alright, well, we'll get to that afterwards. Of course, that would be a major problem, though, if it doesn't save. You know what? I take it back. Maybe we need to do that first and save it and make sure it's all happening. What is that connected to? This is connected to... I'm going to guess... Let me see. I've got the... Oh, is the path still out there? It is still out there. Well, we're getting rid of it. Anyway, so... Yeah, because I tried to make it do this whole swooping down thing, and I just... Well, I tell you what, I won't get rid of it yet. Nah. Actually, I will. Because either way, it's going to have to be redone. So it's gone. And that gives us our Ultron core, and that's been my challenge right now. So what I've never done is use the Pathfinder to connect an actor to another Pathfinder. And I'm thinking Ultron may not be considered an actor, but he is a triggering effect. You know, it's like when he reaches a certain point on the path, I need him to jump to a second path. And that wasn't happening, so let's just experiment for a moment. So there's that. And then I'm going to want him to go to, let's say, this path. Here. So for this moment, I'm just going to turn this off. And I'm also going to turn this off. Actually, no, that one can stay on. No reason to turn that one off. Okay. And over here, new logic connection. When the point is reached by the object on the path, connect triggering actor. In my book, that should do it. Alright, let's see what happens. I'm going to turn it on. It did work. Okay. Well, nice to know. It didn't work in the previous build. I feel better knowing that I am doing it right. You see how he snaps back into place here. Now, before I bother with all that, I gotta figure this part out. Let's see. And I know this is only in there as a test, which right now I don't even know if that's connected to anything. It's not. Okay, back to, oops, excuse me. Randomizer. We'll go out to those 4. The time delayer goes to the repeater, but nothing's going, maybe that's why it wasn't. No? Still not going to be the issue. And then on repeat, it will do that. How often are we repeating? Every 2 seconds? I'm not sure about that. I'm gonna go 3. Doesn't seem like a big difference, but it will make a difference. So every 3 seconds, the randomizer should spawn one of these 4 things into playing mode. Let's look back at what that looks like. So if it goes to replayer 1, trigger 1. Give me 1 second because I hear a vehicle and it could be dinner. Yep. Alright, come on, go outside. Put them out. I'll be right back, guys. Alright, I'm back. 25-minute pizza delivery, that's what I'm talking about. Alright, so everything is working from this aspect, and I don't know why. Let me just see something here real quick. This is set to... Yeah, see, like that isn't working. And I'm not sure why that's not working. So let's clear all the old ones out. Maybe that will help. So if it doesn't work this time, it'll be a little out of interest here. Let's see. That one has nothing. And that's got it done. Alright, we're going to try this again. Oops. Bounce me back, bounce me back. Before I get that, let me see something. This is... What is that being triggered by? If anything, which seems like nothing. So nothing's setting that off to begin with. That's still going to be a problem. And it's currently set at a 2-second delay. Okay, so what I'm going to say is new logic connection whenever exited by player any. I need this to begin. When it expires, it'll trip this, which will then start setting these into motion. And with a 2-second delay on that, but that's only a one-time deal. After that, it'll be all this just going to repeater and sending it over and over again. Alright, we're going to try this again. Going to record. I'm going to go with the orbs instead of the... I don't know. Let me see. That does look a little bit better for a laser. Now what I need it to do is just keep on doing its thing until it's turned off, which is another thing I have to work on. Alright. New logic connection. Nope. New path connection. Alright, so it's doing what I need it to do. And then as soon as it gets there, it explodes, and then hopefully it's also turning that box live. And this should also be on a timer, where it's only active as a kill zone. For like 2 seconds while it's in that area for the explosion. And you're going to have to do is dodge these out. Stop the recording, clear, play it back. Alright. I'm going to save it right here before I put any more time into that. And then we'll load it and see if it at least keeps that. And if it doesn't, then we got to figure something else out. Alright, let it do its thing. I'll be right back.
In action.
Okay, moment of truth. Oh, it's already working. Good job. Alright, well that's good news. I don't know why it wasn't working before then. Alright, I'm going to borrow this real quick. When it's pressed, turn it off. Okay, if I turned it off, why does it keep on repeating? Because there's nothing telling it to stop, which is the other thing I needed to do. So I'm going to need repeaters for each of these individually as well. Or probably time delayers, actually. There you are. So we'll have one there, we'll have one there. There and there. Could actually use a logic gate. Let's do that instead. I have never been a huge fan of them. Not that they don't work well. I just don't have a full grasp of the logic gate. I've slowly but surely gained a little more confidence in it, but I think for this one, it's perfect. Hold on a minute. How I want to do this now. I think I need to reverse this around a bit. So what I need is to actually get rid of all of these randomizers. So let's get that out. I'm going to have the randomizer instead go to the logic gate. Randomizer. Randomizer. There we go. And instead, the randomizer. New logic connection. When trigger 1 comes up, it will send an input signal. And when the input comes in, the output will go out. And that will be playback. Now this is where I'm starting to second guess my logic, but let's see. When the point's reached by object on the path, I will need it to close. Thing is, if it's closed, how will it fire off a second missile from that area? Kazama, how are you? Alright, so let's see. The random signal comes in here, sends it out, replays the missile coming down. The missile hits the explosion point, which then prevents another missile from coming immediately. However, as the random signal comes through, I'm going to need it to allow it to pass. Let me think. Shouldn't affect it because it's sending an input, and then the input's the output. We're going to have to see. Let me try this one down here that's already going off and seeing what happens with that. New logic connection. Back down a minute. Let's go down to there it is. New logic connection. When the point is reached on the path by the object, we will close this. It's not going to do what I want it to do, though. Glad to hear it, my dear. And take a second to try and think this through for a minute. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So we're going to go with the timer instead. Still enable play Friday the 13th. Yeah, that unfortunately, if you don't have a good internet signal, that's probably a waste of money for that game. And like I said, games like Fortnite, if you don't have a strong internet signal, you want to check that out before you make any purchases. That if it's a game that has to have internet to be playable, which is stupid that they do that. Especially, it's like they're coming out with a hard disk version of Friday the 13th, and I'm like, why? A, you've already sold to everyone you're going to sell it to. What they're offering as a special bonus, which is a different Jason skin, ain't that big a deal. Certainly not enough reason to spend another $40 on it. And it's going to be the same mediocre game, which I heard in the latest update, whether it's already out or is coming out, I'm not sure, that there's no more betrayals in that game where counselors are killing counselors, which, quite honestly, was the last bastion of fun I had with that game. When people weren't using microphones, I decided I was going to take them out. And quite honestly, one of my favorite streams of all time was when 4 of us were waiting to see who was going to get inside the 2-seat car, and I just said, hey, I got a rifle. Boom! I got your seat. I thought that was pretty entertaining, plus pretty realistic. Hey, if there's only 2 seats in that car to get me out of here and save my ass and I got a gun, you're gone. That's just the way it is. Alright, I need to now hook all these up and do the same thing with them. What was the time that I put on here? 2 seconds, I think? Yes. Yeah, it might be that it also uses the internet, but I think the server is going to have something to do with it. Smite is a much, like if you look at how many gigs it is to download Smite versus how many gigs it is to download Friday the 13th, it's a bigger monster, pardon the pun. Okay, that should set that up. Now I've just got to put the orbs onto all 4 of these. Yeah, I did dust it off, and that was probably the first time in close to a month now. The only thing about that game that I'm currently interested in is the single-player campaign they're working on, which they said would be out before the end of the summer, and that's coming up. So we'll see if they can manage to come into getting that done in the time frame they set, which is pretty ambitious. They did release some video footage of the motion capture for that, and it does look like they're going to have some pretty cool stuff happening, and they're also coming up with some new Jason animations for special kills. So alright, we're going to get to record. I was going to go with different color ones, but I think we're just going to keep life simple. Okay, that's working. Oh, actually, let me try, yeah. Perfect, stopped itself. Come over to here. Yeah, it's just going to be rinse and repeat. Oh, did he not get there in time? Let's try it again. Play. Alright, this one might need to go a second longer. Or did I set? Yeah, I did set it to 2. Alright, we'll go 3. Because it's not hitting the explosion point. There you go. Perfect. And this is probably going to need it also, because that's actually, I think, a little further. Kind of like this project because it's really been something I've just done a little bit here and a little bit there. I haven't pushed it through, and a lot of the other ones that I like also, but it's just different because I felt like I was under the gun to get them done. I just had this part of me that had a specific vision that I wanted to get it out there and working. Whereas with this one, it's just slowly but surely in like increments coming together. Alright, I need to record the orb. And right there for the moment. Path connector. Come on back down here. Stop the recording. Clear. And let's play it back and see how she works. Perfection. Alright, so once again we're going to save it, we're going to reload it and make sure that all of that sticks. Hopefully. There we go. And while that's doing its thing, I want to take a quick moment to talk about our amazing community on PlayStation Network for Disney Infinity fans. It's called Infinity Ever After. We were counting down to get to 100 members because every one of those members joined the community after the servers went down. And when we finally got to 100, it was a little struggle. We kept getting near 98, 99, and then it didn't move for weeks, it seemed. And then all of a sudden we hit the 100 mark, and since then, it's just been rolling along. I'm so just beyond words impressed with everybody out there. But some of our most recent members, I want to give a shout out to JuiceFan Dreisten, Country Boy 201013, Northwoods, I believe it's Northwoods, it's N/Woods. Senior Spanks, great name. Levy Aguiar, we got Finley's Corner, Kill a Cow, John Freddy Alisk, probably misspelling it or pronouncing it, but it's A-E Lisk. We've got Tizzle, Disney Raven, Brown Noise, Cinderelli, Matsy, Yount, and the list goes on, but these are just some of the most recent that not only took us over the 100 mark, but are now at 125, and I'm starting to count down to 200. We're planning a 100 celebration, but we're waiting for Cars 3 to drop in Europe so that we can do some share play stuff with that as a celebration. But at this rate, it might be celebrating 200 instead of 100 by that time if things keep going this way. And that's a terrific problem to have. Don't worry about it. But we will have some prizes to give away and stuff like that for that. So hopefully the last weekend of August is what I'm targeting tentatively. But I want to make sure that the Cars 3 launch goes through and that we can then share play it. Because right now, folks, anywhere outside the U.S. cannot share play with people inside the U.S., which is where I happen to be. Yeah, live streaming definitely requires a pretty strong signal. That goes without saying. Alright, let's load it back in now that I saved it. And make sure everything's still there. Which shouldn't be a problem, but some of the Disney stuff has been a little sketchy since the servers went away.
In action.
Okay, we now have everything. I had to set these two, as you probably noticed, to 3 seconds as well. I thought 2 seconds was getting it there on time, but it wasn't. Yeah, you can still use the camera with a pre-recorded video. I mean, in Share Factory, there's places where you can use the camera to insert yourself into the video. I've done that on a few of mine. Let me see. Where am I at with this? Okay, the other thing I need to do is I need a button. I'm just going to use a button. I'm going to use that button. Place this one. I'll start with right here, I guess. New logic connection whenever it is exited by any player. And again, the reason I'm using exited and not entered is this is going to be a part of a 3-toy box timeline. So you'll go from one challenge in a toy box to another into this one. And it's all going to be Guardians of the Galaxy related. And anytime you use a door to trigger yourself into a new toy box, I don't know why, and this is even back when the servers were working, your figure going into that box will not register as entering it. Don't know why that is. So if I left this as a freestanding box all by itself, it would be perfectly fine to put whenever it's entered by the character. But because it's tying into other toy boxes in conjunction, I've got to do it where the character exits, because it'll never register the character entering it. If that all makes sense. And at that time it'll press this button. What's this button gonna do? Well, glad you asked. You see how these are all set to yellow, that pause mode? It has to be set like that for it to play. So if it's not, even when this does all of its thing and goes to the randomizer comes out, it'll do its thing, and then it's going to send over here and it's going to say playback, only it won't play back. So unlike when I came into this toy box, loaded it in, and stepped on it and manually hit play, that worked fine. It won't do it with buttons. With buttons or any other trigger device, you have to already have it kind of in neutral, is the best way I can describe it. So that's what you do at the beginning of your game. So the new logic is when that button is pressed, which again is going to be when the player exits the starting point, what we're going to do is hit clear. And clear is going to put it in this neutral mode that it's in right now. So that when the signal does come to it, it'll be able to do something with it. And you also want to be very careful when you're doing this. Don't confuse the terminology. Because it, oops, wrong. Because there is a difference between clear and reset. If you hit reset, you blank everything out and it's gone. You have to redo all of it. So there's a reason they put it all the way on the bottom where you can't even really see it. Just use clear. Pressed. Clear. Alright, so again, once you leave this box, it's going to press this button one time, and that one time is going to set all the other ones so that they are ready to receive the signal. Sounds very, I don't know, what am I thinking about? X-Files. Get rid of that. No longer need that. I might keep it around just in case I need to run another test of something, but that button's going to be going away shortly, I think. On replay, it's going here. And I'm not entirely sure. I thought this was all hooked up. Maybe I disconnected it though. I probably did. Let me do this before I start doing that. Otherwise I'm going to have stuff flying all around and exploding. It's going to be confusing as all hell. New logic connection when that. Oh no, wrong one. Sorry. You're already serving a purpose, aren't you? Yes. We'll use you. New logic connection when pressed. I mean, I could have used it, I guess, wouldn't have made a difference. Then I need that to turn off. And it's off. Now, I can go ahead and start setting these into motion. It's just faster to do it with spark mode. So, new light connection. Random trigger 1 is pressed. Nope. Incorrect. Try it again. New logic connection. When 1 is pressed, we are going to hit playback. When trigger 2 is pressed, playback. Then 3 is pressed, playback. When 4 is pressed, playback. Okay, so one of those random 4 will start firing down. If you happen to be in the kill spot when that object meets the ground and explodes, you will go with it. Presuming, yeah, it looks like it is. Is it tied to a kill switch? Yes. So that should work. Well, actually, let me see something a minute here. Hold on. Let's hold the phone. What is making the kill switch? Let me bring you up to the surface for a minute. Trigger area. What? Not sure what that's all about. So this is going to also need a timer. Just when you'd think it was safe to go back in the water. Only this time we will leave it set for 1 second. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. So when the timer expires, we're going to deactivate. And that should be deactivating all of them at the beginning. And what's going to start the timer is when the object reaches that point in the path. Otherwise that box would stay live, and by live I mean ready to wipe out opponents, and then you just have 4 blocks ready to take everybody out. Okay, so right now, aside from our explosion effects which are there, when the path is reached by the item, which are going to be the orbs, the explosion is going to trigger. It is also going to turn the box live, and the box is tied, as you can see all of them are tied, to a kill switch. That means if you're anywhere in this area of the explosion, you're going to get blown up. And then in 1 second, the box will be back turned off again. So it'll just be a continuing loop. Every time a missile comes down here and lands, this area will be hot. Same goes for all the other 4 boxes. That should work. I gotta drop this back below the surface because it's dangerous to leave it on top, because if you touch it... What happened there? Wrong item. Hate that. I hate when that happens. There you go. So yeah, we gotta put him where he can't be a threat to nobody. At least not till they're supposed to be. Alright, at this time, we've got the missiles working. There's only one thing that I can see left to do, and that is to be putting in the target which will need its own replayer. So let me do this. Let me grab my Ultron dude here. Kind of place him where he's going to be, which is right about here. And then I'm going to need to put a marker so I know where I want the target to be placed. And the target is going to be pretty much in his mouth. Mark, what's up, buddy? Yeah, those are more about claws than paws, but they're frustrated right now because I got pizza and they don't. Alright, so, whoa, that was not what I thought was going to happen. Let me pull him back up and out of here. We were discussing earlier our current head count of 126 and growing on the community board. Now, mine are pretty smart. They know that they don't normally get leftovers per se. I'm fussy about dogs begging. I don't like it. That's not to say they don't get treats, but usually it's that canned food that they love so much. Occasionally I'll give them some leftovers, but I don't want them to think of it as a automatic. Okay, so that marks that part out. What we will do is go ahead and drop another replayer. Oops, went too far. Drop another replayer in here. No, target's probably over here, isn't it? Creativity toys, I think. Yep. So we will take our target. And place it. Well, looks like we're going to place it right here. I'm going to leave that. So I need it to help mark off where I put the Ultron. So let's go ahead and come here and stop. Now let's bring Ultron back into the picture. Let's see if these guys will commingle. If not, we can just go ahead and use the path creator. Back, see if the bullseye target shows up, and it doesn't. Or if it does, I can't see it. Let me try moving him back a little bit and see. Maybe he's just too far forward. Try it again. Clear it, play it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking might happen. Okay, so the collision issue, we can fix that one of a couple of different ways, but let's try. Drop back down here. Throwing me in that corner for some reason. So it's still there, it just wouldn't work with it with a collision. So let's go to record. New path connection. Whoa, mercy. Now let's try that again. Now that's not a proper path, it's just the one node. It may not work that way. I might have to just put in a short path and deactivate it. No, for right now I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to drop you down. Come back to this again. Let's see if that makes any difference. And it doesn't, but again, I think the node has something to do with that. Oops. Now it says it doesn't, but I think it does. We'll find that out right now for sure. Well, that didn't work either. Still other ways to do this. I think here how to attack this one. I'll tell you what. We're at about an hour and 15 minutes. I think we're going to hang it up for this moment. I'm happy with where I'm at right now because I know the next build will probably be the end of this one. I feel pretty confident now that we're almost there. I can do a few different things to make that appear, so I'm not too worried about it. And the missiles are working. All we'll have to do is tie in a counter, which gets a little tricky with a replayer, but we can do it. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this edition of Under Construction. Thank you guys for hanging out. For those of you commenting, Kazama, Mark, as always, appreciated. And we'll be back with some more. Again, join us on the PlayStation Network community. Infinity Ever After 126 at last count. Probably a 127 or 28 by now, because we keep on seeming to go up a couple every day. Love it. Love that there are still people involved in this game. Until next time, guys, just remember one thing. Disney Infinity, it's the only game where the only limitation is your imagination. We'll see you soon. Bye.